Welcome to Chess, ladies and gentlemen. All right, man. So I got a good friend of mine who seems to have forgot who my team is. San Francisco 49ers, homie, all day, every day. Got a soft spot for the Packers. As you guys know, my cousin plays for the team. So, I've actually turned from not liking them whatsoever to actually really rooting for them and liking them a lot. But anyways, man, so I went ahead and went back to the U.S. Championship, and I have the round 10 game versus Niemann and Wesley. So, of course, for all my people coming from the Philippines, I will say mabuhay to you. Kamusta na aking makaibigan? Masaya ko makiti kang muli. Let me see. Magandang, it has just become afternoon, so magandang hapon. Magandang araw, magandang gabi, whatever it is going to be, afternoon, evening, night for you when you watch this game. Hello, ulit. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. But man, if you guys are ready to go, let's take a look and see what we got for this game, homie. All right, so we got the move E4. Best by Tess, as Bobby Fischer said. We got the move E5. Basically, what white and black would really love to do is they would like to establish an ideal pawn center, which for white, that's E4, D4, and for black, that's E5, D5. So basically, white starts the game and decides that black is not going to get that, and black is just copying white. There are a few different ways to go about doing this, and this is just one of the ways. This is the classical way to play. We got knight to F3, knight to C6, by far the most common way that you'll see it played. Attacking the pawn, defending the pawn, and so forth. You got bishop to C4, classical, way to play Italian game. Just making sure that you are attacking a point, developing your pieces, getting to be castled and stuff like that. Nothing too crazy spectacular. We got the move D3, and then we do see knight to F6, and we have the Giuoco Pianissimo, which is in Italian the very quiet game, but as you guys are already aware, probably, these games are not quiet at all. We do have castles by white. We got the move D6. Basically, for the most part, black and white are kind of doing the same thing. They've gotten all their pieces out. They are ready to castle or castled already. And then they're just working on getting their queenside pieces out. So you see the bishops and everything can come out. So we're all good. We got the move C3. There is a little subtle difference between the two positions. It is almost identical. Black needs to get castled, of course. But this knight is on C6. And we do see this pawn coming up to C3. So just a subtle difference. Of course, we would like to make sure that we have a little bit of space for our bishop because knight to A5 can be a little bit annoying. We're trying to make sure that knights can't just plop down into any of our squares on our side of the board. So we do see the move A5. We got a rook going over to E1. We got castles by black. Knight B to D2, bishop to E6, which, if you're thinking, overall your pawn structure, bishop to E6 can seem like, why would I be inviting the damaging of my pawn structure? But if you understand the overall goals of each side, it would make a lot of sense to you. One of the major thematic moves that black tries to aim for is the move D5. Like I said, black and white are both trying to get their ideal pawn centers, and sometimes it has to be prepared. So, white has done that by going C3, and on a good day, they can push the move D4 and cause some problems in the center. Of course, the center is always where you want to attack them. We see bishop taking E6, pawn taking E6, and like I said, F taking E6 is giving a lot of support to that D5 push, so you will probably see it sooner or later. We got knight going down to F1, rerouting to go to G3. This is definitely a square that white wants to try to eye. Plus, knight on G3 just helps to, extra support the pawn on E4, which is one of the most, one of the biggest things that you need to be focusing on is protecting your, one of your strongest pawns in the center of the board. And interestingly enough, even though I just literally said this is a very big thematic move, we do see the move D5. And this is the novelty of the game. Like I said, it's pretty crazy simply because, D5 is by far, one of the biggest moves to open the position up for black. So it is so thematic that, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's a novelty. But anyways, it is. We do see the move bishop to E3 contesting that bishop. It is on that long diagonal, and it is eyeing this really, really weak F2 point. So we kind of want to, you know, contest it a little bit. So we do see bishop taking e3, rook taking e3, and then we have the move a4. So some of you guys might be, you know, kind of trying to wonder, like, you know, what's the move a4 doing? Like, it doesn't really seem like it does anything, right? Well, it kind of has a deeper, like, you know, understanding type of meaning to it. So when we see the move a4, the first thing that you have to notice is that both white and black have castle kingside. So what is a really big idea when you castle on a specific side is just literally simply gaining space opposite where your king is castled. So for both sides, like I said, that would be over here on the queen side, you know, pushing pawns and gaining space and, you know, doing some sort of attack. So of course, if you're castling queen side, even if you're not really specifically attacking your opponent, you do probably want to gain some space and open some lines on the, you know, the king side. So, like I said, it has kind of a little deeper meaning to it, even though it might, to some of you guys, look random. We do see knight going to g3, like I said, protecting e4 pawn. We got the move h6, creating some lift. White decides they want to go ahead and do the same thing. And then we do see the move d4. And so it's not super serious. Like, basically, you know, you're in a situation where, you know, black definitely has a good position compared to white. But we do kind of have to notice this, you know, doubling of the pawns right here. And so it basically means that white wants to play a specific way. Going back into the position, like I said, like, hold on. Okay, so we have a rook going to e1, but something I wanted you guys to notice a little bit before is if we go back to this position here, after we see bishop to e3, or after we see the move d5, some of you guys, maybe when you're playing the game, you might be kind of, you know, just capturing immediately whenever it comes on the board. But there's something very subtle that you have to kind of understand with this position here. So, like I said before, you know, black does have a slight weakness with their double pawns and stuff like that. So what does black really want, you know, white to do? Help them fix their pawn chain, right? So you want to kind of stay away from moves like this that just basically help black, you know, get that beautiful pawn center, like I was mentioning before, because this is exactly where, you know, black wants to put their pawns, and you just help them do that. So you really don't want to help your opponent do things like that. So like I said, we did see h3 creating lift. We see the move d4, and it is the same exact idea in this position here, because black really wants white to go pawn takes, and then you can see pawn, you know, e taking, and then, you know, black has just corrected their pawn chain. So we do see the rook going back to e1. White is like, I'm not going to help you with your stuff, bro. And then we do see the move queen to d6. We see pawn taking d4, and then we see knight taking d4 in this position. And some of you guys might be wondering, okay, wait a minute. Like, I had double pawns, and then you just got done saying that pawn taking is like better because then I'm getting kind of like a more ideal pawn center. Well, I will say that white in this particular situation did basically wait to the exact perfect moment to go pawn takes. And so it doesn't allow black to take back, because if we do have pawn taking d4 in this particular situation, you would actually be in a really bad pickle if you took here with the pawn, because you would be looking at this fork. And it is just because of the placement of the knight and the queen in this position. So you got to kind of be careful with that. So this does kind of force the position that we get into. Knight takes d4, knight takes d4, queen takes d4. So black has not managed to correct their pawn structure. They are controlling a lot of squares in the center, and more importantly, you know, controlling one of the most ideal squares that white tries to get to. So, I mean, black is doing pretty good. We do see queen going to c2, knight going back to d7, trying to reroute, opening the rook as well on f2, always weak. We got the rook going up to e3, just blocking. Like, it's kind of like a rook lift block thing at the same time. We do see pawn going down to a3, rook goes to b1. Pawn takes b2, rook takes b2, and then we do see the move b6. Obviously, you don't want to just hang this pawn on b7. It's not super ideal for you to just be hanging pieces. And then we do see knight down to f1. We got rook going over to a3. You know, at the moment, even though it's not the most ideal piece to blockade with, the queen is actually blockading this backward pawn. So, you know, black is dreaming, you know, on a good day, they can build up enough pressure against this pawn and maybe capture it. We don't know. So the knight does go to d2. We got rook over to c3, tickling the queen. Queen says, I'm not ticklish, bro. I'm going to go to queen to b1. We see rook going over to a8. We see knight up to f3. hitting a nice little tempo on the queen. The queen backs up. We see rook to d2. You know, one of the major focuses for white, like I said, is this backward pawn right here. So they would love nothing more than to be able to just push it and get rid of one of their weaknesses. The queen goes over to a3. We see a rook down to e1. The queen goes to a5. Rook goes to c1, loving a trade and trying to grab this pawn over here. And we do see queen to a3, basically maintaining the position, but we are double attacking the rook on c1, so it does need to be moved. So rook c goes to d1. We see the rook going over to f8. We see the final, you know, ability for us to get rid of our pawn on d3 with pushing d4. And we are kind of lined up on this knight right here, you know, if we can manage to capture here. So we have actually reached a point in the game that if you do want to pause the video and see what really nice move Wesley So plays in this position, go ahead and do so. All right, bro. So for any of you guys who play the Dragon Sicilian as black, this move probably should have kind of stuck out to you because it is a very, very common theme and a common sacrifice in that opening or that defense as black. So the move that I'm looking for that Wesley So does find is rook c takes f3. Now basically you are giving up the rook, but you are causing quite a bit of damage to white's king, and you are busting it a little bit wide open, and you are you know, just causing a little bit of you know, unsecurity to the king. I mean, the king really doesn't necessarily want any of these pawns to be gone in front of him. So, you know, you kind of busting the king open a little bit. So we do see pawn taking f3. We got pawn taking d4 first, rook taking d4, like I said, lining up on that knight. The queen does take f3, which looks like, why in the world am I hanging my knight for nothing? But we are getting into a perpetual check position. So after the rook takes d7, we do see queen taking f2 a check, the king going over to h1, only move. And then we do have white in a perpetual check situation. So all the fireworks are going to fizzle down to this. We see queen to f3 with check, king goes to h2, queen goes down to e2 with check, king goes to h1. The queen goes back to f3, king goes to h2, queen goes back, check, king h1, queen f3 check, and then the king does go to h2, and we have reached a draw by threefold repetition. Like I said, I mean, you are giving up a piece, so it did look kind of crazy probably at first, but I mean, you are in a situation where, you know, the king is really open and, you know, you have all your pieces kind of over here. You really don't have any good way, you know, to defend the position. And you absolutely do not want to move the king up because then you are getting checkmated after queen to f2. You got king going up to g4, only move, queen going up to f3, and you are just continuously forcing the king up. And after this move here, you do have a rook goes to f4 with checkmate. That was just one of them. So you kind of have to just go into the draw, homies. So that is that game. And so, you know, Wesley So maintained pretty much his position in the U.S. Chess Championship. But as you guys probably know, Fabiano Caruana did win. I believe it was the second time he won. Because he won in 2017. I think that was his first time he won. But anyways, I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. Maraming salamat aking makaibigan. Posa na nunod aking ma video. Let me see. Mabuting pagbati. Ingat like it to you. And I will see you guys next time.